The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video. We as a society have held people like Walt Disney and Dr. Seuss up on such high pedestals that when we find out things that were going on behind the scenes with these men, people don't usually want to hear it, or they take it as us trying to cancel a dead man, and that's not necessarily the case at all.
It's my thing, you know what I mean. It's my thing, you know what I mean.
Hey y'all, it's Harriana and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana and welcome back to the pirate ship, also known as Harry Hook's pirate ship. I am the captain. You are not my first mate. I'm got the first mate because you want to know why? Bring your ear closer to the speaker so you can hear me clearly. No one's worthy of being the first mate. But hi, hello, how are you doing? My name is Harriana and I like to make content based on nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Now, we're still doing Disney December. I'm sorry y'all, I had to take a bit of a break because I was so busy with AWA and taking care of stuff with my shop, and it also was the holiday season and I just needed a bit of a break. I needed to rest some, but I do want to finish Disney December. We're finishing after Christmas this year, so it's gonna go up until New Year's, because y'all know we usually be done with Disney December on Christmas Eve. But y'all at home, y'all be needing shit to watch, and y'all be telling me that y'all be enjoying my videos over your breaks. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode of Disney December. And I do want to speak a lot about how we hold certain men with some type of skill or talent up on pedestals, and that is why history continues to repeat itself over and over and over again. What made me think about this was I was recently watching FD Signifier's video about Diddy, and a lot of the conversations that were had in that video really was making me think about some other figures that I talk about a bit more on my channel, those two being Walt Disney and Dr. Seuss. But before we go any further, I do have one big announcement that I would like. So you guys know about the first essay collection I wrote with my friend named Amaya Janelle called Do Not Call Me Sis. We have made a part 2 to that essay collection called You Still Cannot Call Me Sis. It is an essay collection that talks about white feminism, we talk about ableism, we talk a lot about entertainment, we talk a lot about ageism and misogyny and all of that horrible ass shit that goes on in fandom and the mainstream entertainment industry. So if you guys would like to read the second part, the link to that will be down below. A lot of you guys really gave me like good praise for the first one, and I was like, well, I have more to say, let's go ahead and make a second. But I do want to make it clear that I personally think, and I'm not just saying that because I wrote the book, but there are some things that we talk about in the second part of the book that you kind of wouldn't understand if you didn't read the first part of the essay collection. So I do highly recommend that you check out both books if you want to understand what's fully going on in part 2. The link to that is on my website, harrianahook.com. I made sure I put it at the top of my site. And there was one more thing I wanted to say about this. It's not clicking to me at the moment. Give me a second. But also, this book is a good way to get educated on certain things that people don't necessarily want to speak about, especially because we are in an age of anti-intellectualism, and y'all know conservatism has been on the rise with our generation. Also, the book is 18 plus. You have to be 18 or plus to read it. That is what is the recommended age that I have for people that read this book. The first part, Do Not Call Me Sis, is 16 plus, but You Still Cannot Call Me Sis is 18 plus. Now let's go ahead and begin. As I mentioned that I was watching FD Signifier's video regarding Diddy and how it's not just him. This is like a bigger issue when it comes to men that work in hip hop. But I was like, it's not even just men that work in hip hop. It's just men that work in the professional entertainment industry in general. And while he was talking more so about how that had to do with the black men and all of that, he did mention that the white men be fucking up too. I do want to relate this a little bit more to the type of content I make over here on my channel, and how anytime you bring up something regarding Walt Disney possibly being anti-Semitic, misogynistic, or racist. Same with his counterpart Dr. Seuss, who ain't that much different from his bitch ass. Y'all, I can't fucking stand Dr. Seuss. Everybody knows that Dr. Seuss can run me my fade. You tend to kind of have people that always will find a way to defend them. And I feel like when it comes to Diddy, people are no longer defending him because it's just gotten to a point where it's no longer the popular thing to do. You are a part of the unpopular opinion if you're sitting here defending Diddy at this point. And I noticed that is something that a lot of social media tends to do. Not even just social media, but just society in general. That if they see everybody is finally ganging up on this one person, they'll be like, yeah, let me do that, because if I don't gang up on this person, the next thing you know, I'm going to be the one looking in the wrong. Because y'all did that with Amber Heard. Y'all did that with Blake Lively. But you see how long the Diddy situation was going on, because that shit had been going on since the 90s, and it is the 2010s. Not the 2010s, it is the 2020s. So this shit's been going on for a while. Not as necessarily long as Dr. Seuss or Walt Disney, but a lot of Dr. Seuss and Walt Disney's lashings kind of have to do with social media. And I say Diddy finally getting his lashings has a lot to do with social media being involved with it just as well. But with the entire thing that has to do with Walt Disney's history regarding anti-Semitism, misogyny, and racism, you constantly have people that are defending these actions that this man has made. And it reminds me a lot of the way people defend Dr. Seuss's actions too, just as well. Like, there is this one Dr. Seuss fan club that wrote a whole note defending him, talking about that man loved everybody, he was supported, this and that and the third. And the plot gets so lost when we have these discussions because y'all fail to, you know, put yourself in the affected party's shoes. If you are not black, if you're not a woman, if you are not femme presenting, if you are not Jewish, a lot of y'all opinions where you're saying, I don't think what they did was so bad, are kind of irrelevant here. Because in the past on this channel, I have spoken up about how Walt Disney had met up with a literal fucking Nazi named Lenny Freakenstein. He has also, you know, said the N-word. He called the dwarves in Snow White the N-words when he was regarding them. And also, there have been so many speculations about Walt Disney not necessarily being kind towards women. There are so many speculations about him being misogynistic. There even are speculations about how his misogyny had to do with the fact that he, at the time, it wasn't necessarily common to hire women. And let me sit here and tell y'all something, because I noticed the same shit happens with Dr. Seuss too. I remember somebody had said that they were surprised to find out that Dr. Seuss had a history of like racism and just overall horrible shit. And somebody had said that he is a white man that grew up in the early to mid 20th century. That's not necessarily shocking. That is how a lot of them were at the time. And you can say that about Walt Disney too. That is how a lot of the men were at that time, specifically white men. A lot of men at this time were misogynistic because that was the thing to do. Being openly misogynistic often got defended. Unfortunately, being openly racist often got defended too just as well. Being anti-Semitic unfortunately got defended too just as well. That's the reason he didn't get whacked hard enough when he met up with that Nazi. And a lot of people are finally starting to realize that was a genuine problem, because you gave this lady attention. You were helping her platform. Like, y'all know how platforms were different back then, but that woman is just bad news. And we've learned about her in our film classes and everything like that. And the more I learned about her, I'm just like, why did y'all excuse this man and fighting her and meeting up with her. Shit's not clicking. Things are not making sense. And while yes, it was technically normalized for white men to act this way, especially when it comes to white men that had money, and usually when a man has money, he has some type of power. And even though Walt Disney technically was not a fucking politician, he still had power because he was a rich man that was making entertainment that numerous people in the United States was watching. Just because it was normalized did not mean that this was okay. He still was wrong, even though that was a bit normal at the time to do so. That's where things tend to get a bit frustrating when it comes to not just Dr. Seuss, but a lot of male public figures that have made very influential works. Because let's be honest, if it weren't for Dr. Seuss, a lot of y'all asses wouldn't know how to read. I had so many Dr. Seuss books when I was younger. A lot of people appreciated animation because of Walt Disney. He is kind of what helped make animation a bit more mainstream in the United States outside of the Merry Melodies and the Tom and Jerry shorts. And Popeye too, just as well. But Disney was one of the people that did it big. Like, his movies were some of the first that were in the theaters playing on the big screen, and I'm talking about feature length, not just short films. So yeah, I do get why people don't want to sit here and accept that somebody who had a positive impact on them growing up and just in their life in general possibly was disgusting to people. And that's why I feel like we just gotta stop holding a lot of these older white men up on pedestals. And like, there's just so much weirdness that surrounds Walt Disney. Like, you go into the Disney parks, you see his bitch ass right there on the statue. There's just so much that surrounds this man where it just feels like you have to worship the ground he walks on. And it feels like so many people in the entertainment industry at that time period, if they had some type of, what's the word I'm looking for, animosity, some type of negativity regarding Walt Disney and the films that he made and his behaviors and the way he ran his business, people looked at you like you was all in the wrong, and it is frustrating. And I notice so much of this behavior comes from Disney adults still in this day and age, where they feel the need to sit here and defend that man. And like, yes, he's dead. And I understand where people sit here with like, you can't technically cancel a dead person, yada, yada, yada. Nobody is sitting here and trying to cancel Walt Disney. But we do need to have a discussion about this pedestal that y'all constantly hold him up on, because you'll sit here and say that you're against racism. You'll sit here and say that you're against misogyny. You'll sit here and say that you're against anti-Semitism, but then you'll find excuses for the things that have come out about him where he was acting in those ways. Gotta have a discussion here. I'm not sitting here and saying that you can't watch Disney films. I'm not sitting here and saying that you can't like Disney movies. I have spoken up plenty of times about how one of my favorite films ever is Sleeping Beauty, and Walt Disney was very much alive when Sleeping Beauty was created and made. I'm saying is that y'all don't seem to realize that you can enjoy some media but also be very critical of it. Because even with Dr. Seuss, and I keep bringing up Dr. Seuss because these two definitely mirror each other in so many ways regarding how they went about their businesses and the types of work that they created. Both of these men are people like to write off as family men, but when you look behind the scenes, there's just so much shit that just be making you go like, what's going on here? I feel like when we talk about figures like Walt Disney, or, you know, Diddy even, unfortunately, and Dr. Seuss, and numerous other people that have come along the way that have had positive impacts on our community, but also have had negative impacts on the community with the things that they do on the side, I feel as though you can sit here and acknowledge that this person did do good for entertainment, but you also can sit here and not agree with the things that they are doing, because it was very much disturbing seeing how a lot of men in hip-hop were going out of their way to defend Diddy, and they were trying to write it off as y'all just mad at the fact that he's openly nasty. Baby, this has nothing to do with the man liking sex. It has nothing to do with that. It's about him hurting people, but they kept dancing all over that because they're like, well, this man did so much for hip-hop, he's so talented, he did this and that and the third. And I'm just like, y'all sound exactly like those nerds that sit here and defend Walt Disney for the things that have come up about him. Because y'all be like, well, he did so much for entertainment, why are you excusing this and that and the third? This was just normal at the time. Just because it was normal at the time doesn't necessarily mean it was fine. But if we want to move forward with feminism and just, you know, not being misogynistic assholes altogether. We gotta stop holding these men with money up on pedestals. We most definitely need to stop doing it. And it happens a lot in our everyday lives where we're just randomly talking and shit like that, where people would make jokes talking about, I just want a rich man to pay all my bills and I stay at home and this and that and the third. Like, it's just with the rise of conservatism being up. The way a lot of people have just been speaking about a lot of male public figures or just men with money in general genuinely has me concerned. And I think a lot of y'all need to do some research about how this is actually not a good thing. And we need to move past that. I don't know. I'm just rambling on at this point at this video. I'm just kind of irritated and tired of people acting as though, like, just because it was normal back then for them to do this shit, that made it okay. No. But thank y'all so much for watching this video. I didn't want to make this one necessarily long simply because it was a rant. And a lot of y'all seem to like my shorter, rantier videos. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you are interested and you still cannot call me sis and do not call me sis, the link to the books will be down below. The audiobook isn't ready yet for You Still Cannot Call Me Sis. That will be out in 2025. Your girl tired. But the link to the digital copy and the physical copies will be down below. Physical copies will not be shipped until late January though. So keep that in mind if you're buying a physical copy. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Have a great day, night, whatever time of the day you chose to watch it. I'm just thankful that you watch it with the ads on. All right, thank you. Goodbye.